Today we're going to replace the general pump unloader with a new VRT unloader. They all replace basically the same. So it's just a few steps we're going to do here this morning and show you how to do it. You want to hold on to the hose while you twist this fitting, so that way it'll spin and you'll be able to take that fitting off without it twisting and kinking the hose. Okay. Then you'll need to remove the bottom filter. We're going to sometimes you have to move the unloader a little bit. Make it work. Okay, not every pump's the same, so some pumps are more difficult than others. So we'll have to do the same thing down here. Take this one off because it's not going to spin around with it on there. So bear with me here. Okay, now in this particular pump and unloader combination, the handle hits the pump itself. So we're going to have to take that handle off in order to make it spin around. Okay. Believe it or not, sometimes the pipe dope or the fitting they use at the factory is very hard to make it untightened. So if you actually tighten it just a quarter of a turn and then loosen it up, it actually makes it easier to get it off. Okay, there's the old unloader. A little bit different, but it has the same inlet outlet bypass here, so everything will plumb up the same. You always want to make sure you use Teflon tape or some sort of pipe sealer. Clean off some of the old threads. Okay, now we'll see if this actually spins. We may have to take this handle off as well. Yep, we're going to take that handle off as well. Okay. So you want to take off the locking nut. Well, a little easier said than done. There we go. Okay, take off our handle. unloader. Okay. On the unloader it says in, out, and this is the bypass. So we have 2 bypass ports. We're only going to use one, so we'll plug the other one off. So we'll go ahead and get this screwed on here. Line it up like that. So our bypass will come from the back like it did before. So we'll need to put a plug in the other bypass port. Again, you want to use Teflon tape. Excuse me while I get to the point. Oh, Teflon tape is horribly messed up. Okay. When you're doing these plugs, sometimes it's easier to actually put them on the Allen wrench first to put your Teflon tape on. That way you're not trying to just hold on to that little plug without it falling out of your fingers or hands. We want to install that. Make sure it's tight. Okay. Okay, we want to go ahead and tape our bottom fitting up. And install the bottom fitting. Okay. Now this is our bypass port, so we want to make sure that goes to the back side to match the unloader. So we're going to go ahead and spin that around to the back, have it kind of pointing down to the ground a little bit. Again, we're going to be Teflon tape our hose fitting. Put tape on right. There we go. Okay. Let's get our wrench. Now this is a low pressure side, so it doesn't have to be super tight. It just needs to cover, you know, the 200 or 300 pounds that's going to be subjected to by the bypass of the unloader. So it's not holding 4,000 psi. Okay. And then again, we're back up to the top. So again, we have to hold on to the hose as we thread it in. Again, bypass side, so it's low pressure, so it doesn't need a whole bunch of pressure. Again, bypass side, so it's low pressure, so it doesn't need a whole bunch of pressure. Now we can put our discharge fitting back on. Again, Teflon tape. Okay, this is pressurized, so we do want to make sure that it is tight. Okay. Now, on the unloader, these are locking nuts to set your high pressure. What you do is you would have to either look at your old unloader if it's the same brand, same style, and set it for about what it was before. But what you normally do is you go ahead and take them all the way down to the bottom, put your unloader on, Put your springs back on. Put your handle back on. And then whenever you set the unloader, whenever you test and pressure test the unloader to set the machine for the pressure it needs to be set at, you count the number of turns where you're at. So whenever you go, after you're done, count the number of turns that you took it off. And then you're going to pull your unloader off. And then what you want to do is you want to move these up that number of turns. And then lock the two together. So you would lock the two nuts together so they don't move. Then put your unloader back together. Spring, washer. So whenever you go to test it again, you would gradually move the unloader down, working the trigger gun in between full turns, and then see where it bottoms out. If you hit your desired pressure before it bottoms out, you're going to have to move those nuts back up. So that way it sets the maximum pressure that it's for. Okay? Then when you're done, you can put your locking nut back on. Now forgive me here, I'm kind of got it stuck in there. There we go, that'll work. And then you set your, if you have a minimum pressure that you want to hit, let's say 2,000 pounds, you would set your unloader for 2,000 pounds using a pressure gauge, and whatever that hits, whenever it hits 2,000 pounds, you would turn this locking nut on the top down till it hits the handle. So then you have your minimum and your maximum pressure set for the unloader. Put your cap back on, good to go.